Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with my July highs, lows, surprises, stats, all that good stuff. Since I don't do full wrap-ups every month because honestly they don't work for me anymore. I read a lot and I don't know, it just gets messy and I don't want to deal with it. So if you want full details, you can always watch my reading vlogs every week. I try to cover every single thing I read in those, so you get the in the moment responses there. But let's talk about July. It was a much better reading month than the previous month. I am pretty happy with my stats and where I'm sitting right now, so let's run through those. First of all, I read 20 books in the month of July for 5,387 pages, which is freaking fantastic. My average rating was a 3.95. I feel like I had a better reading month, but my ratings were lower. Like, I read more. And I also got through some things that I've picked up from Libro.fm as ARCs and other things that I just kind of been sitting on. So I'm glad I read them, but also discovered very quickly maybe they weren't for me, you know, like maybe they just weren't going to be my jam. And that's okay. I averaged about 22 hours on audiobooks, and that is with the speed I read at. And then for where I got my books, I did read 5 books from KU and 2 from the library this month. And then our age demographics were 18 adult titles and 2 YA. And then format-wise, I read 8 ebooks, 8 audiobooks, 1 manga, and 1 graphic novel. So again, like, we read some things. We explored. Okay, let's dive into the lows, because I think it's kind of interesting. The 3 I have here might surprise you. First up is Pumpkinheads. Listen, I should have listened to Ashley. She was like, this is terrible. Don't read this graphic novel. The whole thing in our Goodreads challenge. And I was just like, I really just want to see how bad it is. And I was able to pick it up used secondhand. So I was like, we're going to try it. I should have listened. I just should have listened. That was so bad. That was terrible. It was like nonsensical. It was just like really weird fat phobic comments inside. Like, not good. The only good thing in this book is the art. The art is so cute. And it's disappointing that the story doesn't serve the art better at the end of the day. So like, again, this isn't a void. Don't pick it up this fall. Don't be tempted. You'll see people reading it. It is not good. Don't do it. Do not do it. And if you must, go to the library and do it that way, because that is what I should have done. But I still don't have my, like, non-digital library card yet. It's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna go do that. That's on the fall to-do list. Next is a book that I was really excited for and I had high hopes for, and that is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. So I did give this, like, a 3.5. So this isn't, like, it was so terrible. But the longer I sit with this book, the more confused I am by it. So it's kind of a cozy Western romance. Fantasy-esque, you know, he is a, not an undertaker. He, like, goes out and, like, prevents these souls from being lost, basically, and, like, saves people, kind of. Not, like, saves, but, like, helps, like, retrieve the zombies, almost. And then Mercy, she is our undertaker and, like, helps put people to rest. And I think that setup is really good. And I think the rival element is really good. But this is based on You've Got Mail. And there's like a direct, like, line by line copy of You've Got Mail in this, basically. And I also think that at the end of the day, their setup for being, like, disliking each other isn't quite enough for me. Like, it wasn't far enough to enemies, and it wasn't enough of a rivalry thing, because, like, I don't feel like they're rivals. It was just kind of like a weird dislike / miscommunication from the get-go for the two of them, and that doesn't work for me. I need a little more there. I wanted a little more world building for this as well. I usually can just kind of, like, go for the ride, but I struggled. Plain and simple, I struggled on this. I wanted more world building at the end of the day. I wanted to know how the world worked more than we got in this. I wanted to understand the world better. I felt like you were just kind of, like, plopped in and had to somewhat assemble the pieces pretty quickly as you went. I do think it would be interesting to see what else this author writes and maybe give that a try outside of this world, maybe. I might read the next book. If I get a free arc of it, like an audio arc, I'll probably listen to it. But I just, like, I was so hopeful. So many people love this book, and I was really excited to see how it explored grief and some of those themes. And I just left it feeling very different than I expected to at the end of the day. And I think that's part of why it would be a low for me. Honestly, that's why. Like, that's just why. Okay, next we have Ooh, that is backwards. Next I have Ladies on Top Volume 3. I love my steamships. I am excited every month I get a new one. I am excited for every new steamship title. I'm pumped all the time. But I noticed a trend, and I'm not going to disclose the trend for anyone who I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but anyways, there's a trend I've noticed in about every third volume. Something happens in every single steamship title so far. And that something is something I don't like. I don't enjoy it. I don't need it. Like, we didn't get peg baited in this, right? Like, we got some payoff a little bit, especially in volume 3. And I was excited for them as a couple, and I was excited to see where it was going. And then you finish volume 3 and a thing is introduced that has me frustrated. I just think there were ways to add tension without doing this. You know, like, there are ways to do it without introducing the thing that they do in this one. And I'm so frustrated and disappointed, but I will probably still pick up volume 3. We'll see. I'm truly unsure currently. All right, let's talk about my surprises. Now, one of these is not necessarily like a good surprise. It's a like, I'm just not sure surprise. And that is You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. This is my first book I've ever read by her, and I just kind of wanted to understand why a lot of people love her thrillers. And I think this book, like, the longer I sit with it, the lower the rating gets. I don't think it's terrible, but it's so weird. It is one of the weirdest thrillers I've ever read. It's so weird listening to a thriller narrated by romance narrators, like, that I identify as romance narrators. A thriller that is, like, tempting you into wanting to think this is a romance. Big time tempting you into wanting you to think it's a romance, and it is not. And it isn't even a romantic suspense. Like, you're just like, the whole time you're listening, like, stuff is off. You're just like, everything here is off. Everything is weird. Something funny is happening, and I don't know what it is. And you get a twist, and then you get another twist, and you're just like, what? What? Because that's how I felt by the end of this. I was just going, what on earth is happening? So, all around, it's just a weird time. Like, a really, really weird time. I don't know how I feel about it still. I can see why some people love it and some people hate it, and I feel like I'm right in the middle going, what is this? This is so strange. But this follows a woman who goes on a vacation in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, stays at a house, and things are weird. Maybe he's a killer. Maybe he's not. A lot of questions are asked, you know? A lot of lies are told and untold, we'll say. Just didn't work for me. And then, like, didn't work for me in a lot of ways, and in some ways worked for me. It was just a weird time, so I'm surprised by it still. Next, I have Cindered Glass by Charlene Johnson. This was my members pick for June, not July. I cannot keep my mouth straight right now. For June. Really surprised by this. Like, truly surprised by this. This is a Why Choose Cinderella retelling. I put it in a rec video already. Let me put it that way. That's how surprised I was by this. I don't like Cinderella retellings usually. It is not my favorite thing. It is not my go-to. I pretty much avoid them, okay? Like, I was interested enough in this because it was a Why Choose, and it sounded to have some things that I would like. So I was like, we'll try it. And it was a Black author. So I was like, I really would love to try this. This would be fun if I do love it. And I was left so surprised. Now, the content warning list from the author on this is expansive. And I think the two biggest content warnings I want to point out would be the fact that there is sexual assault in this book, and the fact that we do have the usual Cinderella tropes around the family and them being abusive and things like that. Like, that is present. So be ready for that. I feel like that's a given in any Cinderella story I read. I'm just like, I expect it, right? So this just surprised me because honestly, it didn't avoid sex. Like, sex happened pretty quickly. Things were moving quickly in the plot. It didn't feel dragged out to like find out what was going to happen. It felt like it made a lot of sense. We got to watch our character Summer like really develop as a character and find herself in this group, and the group dynamics were spectacular, and we didn't like wait to get to the group dynamics. Like, it happened quickly, and I appreciate that immensely. I love a fast-paced group dynamic progression. One of my favorite things. So yeah, this just really surprised me. If you like fantasy romance, I really don't think you can go wrong if you're open to Why Choose. This is a good one. It is a fun time. Last for my surprises is something I didn't think I would like as much as I did, because I am in the camp of I didn't hate the Unhoneymooners, but I didn't love the Unhoneymooners, and that is the Honeymoon Crashers. I really enjoyed this. I got an audio arc of this as well from Libro FM, which is why I picked it up. This is an audio original, and I thought this was really fun. This follows our characters from the Unhoneymooners on their trip to Hawaii to get married. And it's supposed to be a small ceremony, and their whole family crashes it and basically turns it into more than a small ceremony. And we get to watch the sister from book 1, the twin, get her happily ever after in this. And it was really cute. It's full cast narration, which I think really benefited the story as well. And I found that element super duper enjoyable. And overall, like, I just was surprised at how much I enjoyed this. Because like I said, I didn't like her character really that much in the first book. Her like penchant for being cheap is admirable but also obnoxious in a way to read about, if that makes sense. So I just really kind of wasn't sure how that was going to play out, but I just thought this was a fun, quick revisit to this group, get to see that other HEA, and move on. Like, it's a very quick book, so I just was very surprised. And then my highs, y'all, my highs. Okay, first of all, I finished the Carolina Comments in July. I finished it. I marathoned those bad boys. And the last books in that series are all highs for me. The only one I didn't love was One Timer. This entire series is a high for me. I love this series. I have all of the special editions in my birthday wish list because I'm trying not to buy myself a ton of books right now because, like, I know Grumps and family will buy me books for my birthday. So I'm like, okay, here's the list, y'all. Buy me the entire special edition collection for the Carolina Comments because, oh my god, I'm obsessed. Obsessed. I loved almost every single book in this series, more and more. I didn't think I'd love Grady as much as I did, and here I am. Scoring Chance was like a favorite. Blind Pass, freaking amazing. Freaking, just everything here, spectacular. It's so fun how similar but different Tegan Hunter makes all of her characters in this series, and I really appreciate that, and I love how much they all pop up throughout. I do think the order I read it in was fine, so if you want to start with the neutral zone and then kind of like read Glove Save and then circle back, you'll be fine. You could start at the beginning. Listen, I just think if you want a good time, like just genuinely a good time, this series is fantastic for you. It is absolutely perfection. And I really don't think you can go too wrong with it. The other thing I read this month that I absolutely loved, and I read this for the 24-ish, is Trouble by Rilsey Adams. Rilsey has yet to disappoint me. It'll happen one day, I know, and that's okay. That's okay. I can live with that. But for now, Trouble was an amazing polyamorous romance. This follows a couple that's already established, and we see their established relationship with fantastic sex scenes. Holy crap, the sex scenes in this are so good. And they bring in a third, and it's the first time they both have been attracted to the same person. And that dynamic, spectacular. Like, it just worked so well. So well. And I think it's a one that if you haven't tried Rilsey, is a good option to start at as well. But this was just perfect. I read this during the 24-ish, and I was just like so happy about this book. The entire time I was reading it, I was giggling. It was like the giggle kick your feet romance. Like, it was so good. And then like full of just like really good sex. Like really good sex scenes. So if you haven't read Trouble, you should pick it up. Anyways, those are my lows, surprises, and highs. And my stats for July. Let me know how your July was. Did you read anything you loved? Did you read something you hated? Did you read any of the books I talked about and have feelings about them? Love to chat with you about those in the comments. And if you don't want to do that, leave me a cloud emoji of your choice, because it is actually like kind of cloudy out. And listen, counting down the days to fall over here. I mean, I'm in my Wake Me When Summer Ends shirt because like I would love to not be in the heat. I'm so over it. We've got like another month and a half plus of heat, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Do that in the comments. I will be back to talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for.